What is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. This video is honestly in response to listening to the Chris Jericho podcast today, where it was episode number 900, and he had Goldberg on as a guest. I'm not 100% sure if this is the first time that Goldberg has been on with Jericho, and out of the 900 episodes that Jericho's done, I can honestly say that I don't listen to Jericho's podcast, honestly, as much as I used to, maybe like in 2016, 2017, where it was like I almost listened to every episode. But I can honestly tell you that he's had at least a show a month that grabs me just by the headline alone. He's always kind of talking about topical things, whether if it's a Netflix documentary or just keeping it with wrestling. He always grabs you with something that pulls you in, that you care about, and it's honestly always a good show. My first thought when I heard Goldberg on the Jericho podcast, of course, it always goes right to the bickering and the fighting that Goldberg and Jericho had, that spilled over through their WCW years together, that carried over to when Goldberg came in to the company in 2002. And I had never heard whether if that had sort of been smoothed over, or if there was going to be kind of some heat there, and maybe Jericho got Goldberg to do the show because there was a very long, almost commercial for some CBD items that Goldberg was doing. And sometimes people get guests on podcasts because they have a book coming out or something like that, and the publicist basically makes them do the show. But they smoothed over, basically them fighting in WCW, their big, huge backstage brawl in WWE. Basically, Jericho saying that during the fight, he felt like he bit off more than he can chew. And then they made jokes upon the fact that if you look up on, wrestling websites, that everyone says that Jericho got the better of Goldberg. And it almost sounds like they didn't want to say it, but it almost sounds like that's not what happened. But during this, Goldberg was saying that he didn't think he'd wrestled his last match. He basically was still a WWE guy, and he's just waiting for the phone to ring. And of course, that almost happened last month when Vince McMahon stepped down publicly as CEO and said that he had retired that very day. Rumors were that Brock Lesnar had walked out of Monday Night Raw, leaving the big main event for the upcoming pay-per-view in shambles for SummerSlam. And there were even reports out there that WWE had put in a call to Goldberg, thinking that he was the one guy that could save the day for SummerSlam. They could just plug Goldberg in there versus Roman Reigns and call it a day. And I think back to the last time that Goldberg wrestled. I believe it was against Roman Reigns on one of the Saudi shows. He was the main event, going after the Universal Champion. And of course, Roman Reigns has been on this legendary 2-year run with the championship. It doesn't seem like he's ever going to lose. And every single time they put a name up against him, you're like, oh, this is the time. This is the time. It reminds me a lot of like Randy Orton. Back in like 2008, 2009, I'm guessing, when he was having his run on Monday Night Raw. And I hated Orton. I thought that he was boring. He basically always had, Legacy kind of running out there to help him, and it seemed like that's the way that every match ended. But yet, I never missed a show because of the fact that I never wanted to miss the moment that Randy Orton lost and got his ass whipped. And because I didn't like him, that was going to be the moment that I was able to pump my fist and get payback for all of those Raws that I was watching that dreadfully didn't want to watch. But I was there each and every week. I remember that Goldberg got beat in pretty easy fashion by Roman Reigns. And even at the end of the match, Goldberg seemed like he was doubting himself, basically thinking that he couldn't do it anymore. And I'm not 100% sure. They don't really do these anymore, especially if it's the end of the show. I'm not sure if maybe he did an interview for Monday Night Raw and basically was saying something to the fact that, you know, maybe it was time to hang it up. And I just felt like that was a storyline that they were building, that they were going to bring Goldberg back, you know, better than ever. Maybe see Goldberg doing some training videos, much like Brock Lesnar for the SummerSlam 2002 show, and when Brock was running up and down just a random road with a log strapped to his back, you know, prepping to face The Rock in the main event, going after the championship for the first time after winning the King of the Ring. And I'm guessing that was well over a year ago. It's been a while since I remember seeing Goldberg out there. Maybe I'm wrong, because maybe last year is when Goldberg had the match against Bobby Lashley. So maybe I'm just mixing things up in my head, but I don't think we've seen Goldberg since that Saudi show, when he was sort of doubting himself, maybe thinking he couldn't do it anymore. And I thought they were going to push him out for that one last big spurt, you know, for that one last match that he can hang his hat on and basically say that, you know, this is his career and it's over with. But maybe that's not what they're looking for with Goldberg. Goldberg's always a name that they can put out there because of the fact that he wrestles those short matches. I'm sure the training takes more of a toll on his body than the actual match does. But it sounds like he really wants to get in there one more time. So even though more than likely when Roman loses these belts, whether if he loses one and then loses the other, you would think that it's going to be on a big show. But they got to get to that point. You know, is Goldberg a guy that they call to have that moment where he basically says he's been training for a year and he thinks he's in the best shape of his life, and he doesn't even have to win it. Just as long as he puts up a fight against Roman, and then once it's over, basically be able to say that, you know, that's it. I mean, Goldberg was never my favorite guy, but Goldberg is definitely a name in the business that deserves to go out and not shrugging his shoulders, looking like he doesn't have it anymore. Go out there, you know, lose with respect, and, you know, tip your hat to the fans. He's already a Hall of Famer. He's already got that. And I think that would be a good way to cap off the career of Goldberg. We've seen a lot of the guys from that, you know, Monday Night War era where he debuted on Nitro, you know, basically right off into the sunset. And he might be the next big name that gets to do it.